Thank you for joining me as we look at the Introit for Sunday, September 20th. This is from Psalm 116. I will offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving and call on the name of the Lord. What shall I render to the Lord for all his benefits to me? I will lift up the cup of salvation and call on the name of the Lord. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. O Lord, I am your servant. I am your servant, the son of your maidservant. You have loosed my bonds. There are certain things in our lives that will change our actions and our attitudes. Perhaps there was a tragic circumstance that changed our outlook on life. Maybe a punishment made us wake up to how our lives were. And that started a change. In college, I had a history professor who his freshman year of college was almost expelled. It took that experience and the fact that his father had to really go to bat for him to change his attitude. And he became a good student, and he went and even he got a doctorate. There are certain events in our lives that can change our actions and our attitudes. Now, the psalmist highlights the fact that our following of God should change our actions and our attitudes. At the start, he says, I will offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving. This highlights an attitude of change. Thanksgiving is the thing that the psalmist will offer, not grumbling or hesitance or not doubt. No, thanksgiving. And this attitude even extends to where the psalmist looks for relief and help. The psalmist looks for relief and help in God. And I think this is helpful because we are always tempted to put our trust and our hope in people and things other than God. Just look at today. How many people are placing their hope in humanity, an election, a vaccine? Instead, when we realize just how much God has done for us and just how dependent we are upon him, the question is asked, what shall I render to the Lord for all his benefits to me? What can I do that can even come close to what God has done for me? And what has God done for us? He's given us a place and a purpose. He has given us salvation, and even more than that, he has given to us an inheritance that far exceeds anything we can get here on earth. There's nothing we can do to repay or even get close to what God has done for us. And even with that gap exposed, we are reminded that God welcomes his people. This is not a point of contention. This is not a point of shame. Instead, God delights in the person who trusts in him and calls upon him. And interestingly enough, the psalmist goes on to say, precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. But wait, I thought death was the enemy. Death is bad. Well, indeed. But what is the image that is given by the psalmist? The one who trusts in God not only exists in hope this side of eternal life, but also when their time is over is welcomed into the presence of God. In God there exists no shame or embarrassment over his saints. That is, the ones who trust and have faith in him. In fact, he can't wait until we are with him. And that should change our attitude about death and what it means. In AD 251, Cyprian, the Bishop of Carthage, wrote during a pandemic, no less. He wrote this, our brethren who have been freed from the world by the summons of the Lord should not be mourned, since we know that they are not lost, but sent before, that in departing they lead the way. that as travelers, as voyagers are wont to be, they should be longed for, not lamented. What a delight it is to be one of God's people, to be cared for by God, knowing that we have eternal life. Thank you for joining me.